Welcome to my unboxing of the Switch 810. This is one of those by popular demand unboxings because there have been a lot of requests for this unboxing, and I can see why, because I've never seen it yet in person, but we're going to open it up. But NZXT seems to be fairly confident about this guy. Welcome to the pinnacle of chassis design. Switch is an epic, I'm gonna put a square around that word, epic hybrid case built for the hardcore PC enthusiast. This full tower chassis introduces a first of its kind concept for more versatile and adaptable to any configuration, which is not grammatically correct at all, but I think we get the point. It can be modified for superior water cooling or superb airflow through seamless operation. Also doesn't really mean anything, but I think we get the point. As an enthusiast, you will have full control to customize all the features of the Switch based on your preference. So what are these features? Well, first of all, let's go through the basic spec, which is that we have 4 5¼ inch external bays. We have 6 internal 3.5 inch bays. We have 9 expansion slots, so this is a full-sized XL ATX chassis, meaning you can install even ludicrous motherboards like the Gigabyte G1 Assassin, which is 9 slots long. It comes with 4 140mm fans. It can accept up to a whole bunch of 140mm fans, but you know what? If you guys don't mind, let me get this out of here first because it's kind of heavy, and then we'll keep going. The Switch 810 uses a hard foam, although it uses a very thick hard foam, which means that it's unlikely to get damaged in shipping. It's also not as heavy as one of the cases that I really harped on recently for using a hard foam for packing, which was the Cosmos 2, which weighs about 50, wait, does it weigh 50 pounds? Yeah, I think it weighed like 50 pounds before putting any hardware in it. The Switch 810 weighs somewhere between 25 and 30 pounds before you put any hardware in it, which means that it's less of a risk for damaging the packing material during transit. So let's start having a look at all the nifty features that drives NZXT to proclaim that this is an ultimate case. Let's start with the outside. So at the front, we find, yeah, you can stay over there, that's fine, I'll just move the case around. We find 4 5¼ inch bays. We've also got access to our front panel connectors. I'm just going to tilt that a little bit so it's got some light. 2 USB 2, 2 USB 3, an SD card reader. That's handy. Love seeing that integrated right into the case. Headphones, microphone, reset. Oh, and an LED switch. Interesting. So where's the power button? Ah, the power button is up on the top. So that LED switch is for something that I'm about to show you guys a little bit later that is actually phenomenally cool. Okay, we've also got the power button up here. So we saw that just a moment ago. While we're on the top, this is really cool. So check this out. You can open this up all the way, close it all the way, so you can actually choose between optimal airflow and optimal silence, which is kind of neat. We can also take the whole thing off, just like that, and now we can see the liquid cooling options that we have. So the radiator goes up here, the barbs stick down through here, and we can install up to a triple radiator in the top of this case without even taking up any of the space that's inside, other than leaving the default fans where they are. So you can either do triple 140s, triple 120s, or you can throw a radiator in there. Either air or liquid cooling, doesn't really matter. The choice is yours. So I'm going to go ahead and there we are. I'm going to put that in silence mode. So now let's go ahead and have a look at the rest of the front of the case. So we've got a, oops, hold on, how does this work? Ooh, look at that. Front accessible bottom fan filter. Now there's an innovation, because I've sort of started complaining about cases that have a bottom fan filter but it's only accessible from the back. This is even easier to get at than the ones that do it from the side. So that's very, very cool. The front comes off pretty easily here. We've also got a removable fan filter here, although it is held in with screws. It's fairly accessible, so you shouldn't have, you see that huge gap there, you shouldn't have much trouble blowing it out from the back and then just giving it a quick blow from the side to get rid of the dust bunnies. We've got space for dual 140s or dual 120s in the front. It comes with one 140mm fan. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this back on. It just uses, hold on, there we go, little clickies in order to hold it in place. So I think that pretty much does it for the, oh, check this out too. Hey, cool. Okay, so let's turn it around. Remember that toggle switch I showed you guys next to the reset switch? I'm gonna show you guys what that's for. That's very cool. Check this out. There's a light right here. There's an LED light. That toggle switch turns it on so that you can easily see the I/O on your computer, even setting it up at a dark LAN party or in a dark room or in the dark, pretty much. And what's neat about that is it shines all the way down so that you don't have to fumble around and try and figure out what you're doing. Now this one is accessible from the back. So once again, not my favorite, although what they've done by having one in the front and one in the back is they've made it a lot shorter. The problem I have with cases like an 800D is the fan filter's this long, which means it has to be this far away from the wall in order to get it out. This is actually not that bad at all. Bottom-mounted power supply, water cooling grommets, which I can't imagine anybody using in a case like this, that has proper support for a triple radiator inside. So, but they're there in case you want to do an external radiator pump sort of setup, if the urge strikes you. So let's go ahead and get this opened up. NZXT has traditionally done a very good job of matching their whites on their plastic to the whites on their paint finish. I'd say this one isn't quite as close as the Phantom, but it's still very good, so I'm not going to take any marks off for it. Go ahead and take this off. Nice big window. Love the nice big window. I mean, I know it's kind of fashionable to change the shape of the window dramatically or make it small or arrow-shaped or whatever the case may be. Not a big fan personally. If I'm going to want a window, if I'm going to have hardware inside that's window-worthy, I'm going to want a nice big window. So now that we're inside, here we go. This bad boy supports everything. You can see all the different standards on here: ATX, Micro ATX, Mini ATX, Flex ATX, SSI CEB, SSI EEB. So what that means is we've got support for large motherboards, even extended ATX motherboards, as well as XL ATX motherboards. So those ones aren't actually even on here, but with 9 expansion slots, XL ATX is no problem. And you can see this width over here with the E on it, even though yeah, so that's pretty much eATX, so very, very cool. CPU cutout gives us the ability to change the CPU cooler without any difficulty. This has become pretty much a standard feature these days. The back fans are cool because you can either do a single 140 millimeter or, see these slots here, you can actually change up the configuration of the fan. So you can do dual 120s by using the inside slot. Can you do dual 120s? I think you can. Actually, give me a sec here, guys. Sorry guys, my bad. It's not dual 120, it's single 120 or 140, but what these slots allow you to do is position the fan according to how thick the radiators and fans you have installed in the top are, where your CPU socket is, so where you want the heat exhausted from. So that is a very, very cool little feature. Now in terms of cable management, you can see we've got umpteen bajillion cable management holes. Depending on where your motherboard's positioned, you're going to want to run these differently. There's also a ton of space on the other side. So you can run ATX cables, multiple PCI Express graphics cables, whatever it is that you want without any hassle. And these are all using very high quality rubber. You can see that I can easily bend them really far away and they go right back to covering up the hole. We've also got a gap up here for the 8-pin or 8 pins that go into your motherboard, which means that we're pretty much managed in terms of which cables we need to be able to run. We've got another intake down here, so this is what that front filter was for. You can see the filters meet up right about here. That's what makes the back one not too long, and we can install either a 120 or a 140 millimeter intake here. We've got little rubber feet that hold up the power supply, so whether you have a short power supply or a long power supply, whether you mount fan side up or fan side down, it's not going to have any problems getting all the air it needs from either a filtered intake or from the inside of the case. Let me see. So you can see the top from the inside. That's where the radiator goes. What's also cool about this is that you can install fans all the way over here without interfering with your top 5 1/4 inch bay. So you got the radiator up top, the fan here, and your first 5 1/4 inch bay right here. So yeah, it won't perform quite as well as these two, but at least you don't have to. Personally, I find it not very aesthetically pleasing to put my first optical drive in the second bay, so you won't have to do that in this case. They did think of that. We've got a hot swap SATA cage here, which is very cool, and I didn't even notice the first time around. Let's go ahead and pull that off. There we are. Check that out. Just like that, you can install either a 2.5 inch or a 3.5 inch drive. Solid metal construction, so no worries in terms of any kind of durability issues that you might potentially worry about with some kind of hot swap mechanisms. Also, this looks like a straight pass-through, so I hope there won't be any compatibility issues. Now, this is cool. Check this out, guys. So one is that these cages are completely removable. So you just go ahead and remove the thumb screws and check out these, check this out. Oh, sorry, it's still held in. I mean, this will allow you to install an unlimited length graphics card in here pretty much, but I'm sure you'll still want some hard drive cages. Oops. Oh, Slick's giving me oh, the fan is plugged in. Okay, well, hold on a second, guys. And I'm going to show you removing the side panel correctly this time. The last time I took out all 3 screws, you don't actually have to do that. You just move the screw down after you've taken out the top and the bottom, and the side panel comes off just like that. So let's go ahead and unplug that fan, which is going to be somewhat challenging because they are all cable tied neatly back here for me. So I'm just going to pull out my trusty knife, hoping that I don't slice any of the cables while I'm at it, because the knife is crazy dull now. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and pull this guy out of the integrated fan controller, which I didn't even know was back here. Check that out. 1 Molex power goes to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 fans. Very, very, very cool. While we're at the back here, we might as well look at what we've got in terms of cable management. So you can see the side panel goes all the way out to here, which means that by the time you get up to this level, you've got that much space for cabling, which is pretty much unlimited as far as those things go. So with these 7, you can do 2 in the front, 3 in the top, 1 in the back, 1 for your CPU, and have the whole thing controlled. It's stuck on with double-sided Velcro, so you don't have to keep it if you don't want. You can reposition it if you want, which is a very, very thoughtful thing. Some cases have built-in fan controllers, but they don't allow you to reposition them, so you're stuck routing cables to maybe somewhere that's inconvenient for your build. This allows for more customization than that. From this side, you can see the toolless hard drive sleds. So these are 3.5 inch or 2.5 inch, whichever you prefer. We've got 6 of those, plus the hot swap one here. You can also see the toolless side of the 5.25 inch base, so you can put screws in here, but you absolutely do not have to. And I think that covers it for the back, other than that we've got lots of cable management loops here. You see all these loops? These are going to allow you to be much tidier than a lot of cases about routing your cables. Don't underestimate the importance of these. They're very, very cool. So now let's switch it around to the other side, where we left off with me trying to yank a cable out of somewhere here. So I've got my handles here. Those snap back into place. What's cool about these is that not only do they hold hard drives, but check this out. Oh yeah. So I've got a little plastic piece here so it doesn't get scratched. You can lock it in place just by tightening the thumb screw. And then you can loosen it, push it down like that. So what's the benefit of that, you might ask? The benefit, just gonna throw this back in here. There we go. The benefit is that if you're not as focused in your build on beast graphics cards, you can actually reposition this for better cooling, more airflow for your CPU, which is very neat. You can actually position this bottom one as well. So you can point these fans wherever you need the cooling most in order to get the best performance out of your system. Both of these hard drive cages can be removed. In fact, why don't we remove them just to show you guys what it's going to look like with them both out. So I'm going to make sure I have that... oh yeah, there's no fan plugged into that one right now, so it's no problem. There we go. One there, one there. So that's what the Switch 810 is going to look like if you pull the whole thing out. In fact, I would even speculate that by removing these screws, you could probably throw another dual 120mm radiator in here with a little bit of work. So that's very cool. Yeah, you can unscrew these sleds as well, so you can take the whole thing out completely. Love seeing cases that are less riveted and more screwed, because it means you can take things apart more, customize more, and get your build exactly the way you want it. It's one of the reasons I chose my case, because the whole thing is held together with screws, not a single rivet in the entire thing. There's our toolless 5.25 inch. I actually like NZXT's implementation, though I can't for the life of me remember how it works. I think you push on this, or you unlock it. Hold on. There you go. Then you push on that, snap it back in place, lock it into place just like that. All the screws that you need for your optical drives, just in case you are going to ship your system around or whatever the case may be, are all included here. Although there are a few accessories in a box in a 3.5 inch drive cage. Let's take that off and let's see what NZXT includes with the Switch 810. Screws. Hey, look at that, an 8-pin extension. Very, very well thought out, and it's one of those cool individually sleeved ones. So this is a tall case being XL-ATX. This is a very long distance from your power supply to the top. So what this does is it buys you, so putting this through the back like this, down to approximately where it'll be on your motherboard, it buys you an extra few inches on the back to make sure that even if you have a cheaper power supply that has shorter cables, you're not going to run into any trouble. So thank you for checking out my unboxing and first look at the NZXT Switch 810. Don't forget to subscribe to Linus Tech Tips for more unboxings, reviews, and other computer videos.